Hello, hello. Jeff Helvin here with Ballen Brands, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about an agent bio. Now, I do speak with agents often and express to them that on a website, right? When we have a new visitor, maybe someone does a Google search, they come to our website, they're looking for properties. I do express to agents a lot that, the who we are doesn't matter yet. Okay. Now, I'm going to use the word yet. So they're here to look for properties. They half the time they don't even know whose website they're on. But an agent bio does play a very important role in the whole process, because how do we set ourselves apart from everybody else online, right? I get the question again all the time too about Zillow. Everyone's just going to go to Zillow to search for properties and do this and that. Yes, of course, that's still going to happen. Okay, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to have a personal connection when we have the opportunity to do so. So we don't want to neglect still the foundational elements of making sure that we're able to make a personal connection with our audience when they're here. Now, if we're running our business correctly, we're using the website also as part of our daily activities and everything that we're doing. So we want to send our visitors or people that we connect with to our website. We want them to have the tools to do searches for homes. We want them to see who we are and get an idea of what's going on. So we do that, of course, through the information that we provide on the website. So we're going to talk specifically about agent bios right now, just to make sure that we understand, because there's a lot of questions about, how long should they be? How should I write it? Those types of things. And I want to just address those key points. So I have my website pulled up. I am a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, North Las Vegas, out here on the West Coast. And on my website, of course, we've got, our homepage, and I have a little blurb here about who I am, get to know me, and then to learn more. So we have just a quick little intro, click through to learn more, to go to my actual bio page, which in this case is the about page. Now, what this does is shapes the first impressions. Okay, it helps people get an understanding of who I am. Not everybody is going to go check me out and see what I'm about, but for those who want to know, those are the ones we want to connect with. We want to make sure that we are giving them the information that we feel is important to set up that relationship. So this helps them understand who we are before they even reach out to us, if they find us online that way, right? If they're looking and doing that data, or a lot of times who we are even if we've already met them. So many times I don't talk about myself all the time, about all these different things that I do. So if I meet someone even in person, I have this dialogue, then they come to my website and see my bio, they learn more about me, more than I would normally say just in an introduction. Okay. So what's important though is to understand, what do buyers and sellers actually want to learn about you? What's important to them? What's going to make the difference? I mean, the bottom line is they want to know your background, your community connection, right? What values you have. They want to feel comfortable. We want to see if we're using a bunch of language about family and this and that, and they're not really family oriented people, there might not be a great connection, and that's okay. That's what we want. We want to make sure we establish that. But if they're focused on your professionalism and your time in the industry, well then they're fine that you talk about your family, even if they're not family oriented people themselves. You see what I mean? So you want the bio to actually have just put it all out there. Okay, tell them what it is, what you do, what you're about, and they'll connect with the things that they're interested in, or connect with the things that connects with them. Okay, so there's certain key elements we want to make sure we have in this bio, and this is how we make sure we connect. Okay, it's the local knowledge. What do you know? Why would they trust you to list their home or to help them buy a home? What information do you have? In my case, I was born and raised in Las Vegas, so I mean, that's obviously I'm pretty knowledgeable because this is where I've always been. I didn't just land here. So I have that going for me. What's the community involvement? Where do I fit in? What do I do? So in my case, I help raise money for Candlelighters Childhood Cancer Foundation. That's a local cancer foundation, childhood cancer foundation that I raise money for. Raised to date over $150,000, and usually it's about $10,000 a year on average is what I help raise. So that is, I'm very committed to that organization. It's local. It kind of shows that I'm involved and, I care. Okay. What are my purpose? What are my strengths? So, that's I'm all about being authentic, compassionate, be respectful. Okay, these are things that I bring to the table when you're working with me in a real estate transaction, as well, of course, my friends and family. But this is showing like if those are important to you, you're going to connect with that, right? As the potential buyer. So those are the things. What are my professional details? Okay, I've been working in the real estate market for a decade now. And I've helped operate companies. I've done buying and selling myself. This is my professional like involvement. And then ultimately, personal touch. So I'm into health and fitness. I love outdoor activities, mountain biking, things like that. Like this is another way that I can connect. So that's a little more personal about me. So we kind of go through those different elements. The other thing that a lot of people ask about is the first person or third person. Okay, is it, I was born and raised in Las Vegas, or Jeff Helvin was born and raised in Las Vegas? Now, there's two parts of this that kind of a new part. We've always promoted more the third person, speaking as, Jeff Helvin was born and raised, as if someone's, doing a write-up on me, as opposed to, me just saying something myself. There is some psychological elements to this that kind of indicate whether or not it's, more professional by doing third party, or if it's more casual by saying I and me and trying to connect, directly. So that really is up to you, what your preference is and how you want to connect with your audience. But I will tell you that now with all of the AI searches and the voice searches, if someone's like, who is Jeff Helvin, for example, then we're feeding the content if we're using in third person. So we do recommend more third person as far as how searches are concerned, how people are looking for information. Jeff Helvin's born and raised, imagine a chat bot basically giving that result. We're kind of helping feed that result instead of saying I, and then, the chat bot has to reinterpret that however they reformat that. So today with searches and especially people looking for you, what does Jeff Helvin know as a realtor? Is Jeff Helvin a good realtor, right? The chatbots now can take this content that we've written in our bio and then, use that to help craft an answer to the end user. So we want to help control that a little bit better. So we do typically recommend the third person. And lastly, how long should it be? Okay, we have to find the balance there. And I'm just going to say it has to be long enough. Okay, we don't want it to be like so short. Jeff Helvin's been doing real estate for this long, was born and raised in Las Vegas. Reach out and contact him. We don't want that, but we also don't want my entire life story. Okay, most of the time people are looking for the bullet points. In this case, it's still written out, but it's still bullet points. As I mentioned, we're really, it's background, community connection, values. What's my knowledge and my involvement? Like that's like it's just that. We're not trying to get too far into why I raise money for candle lighters. I do have a personal story behind that, but that's not relevant to someone getting to know me for the first time in this case, unless they ask me for more of that information. Why have I lived in Las Vegas my entire life? Is that a choice, or do I feel like I'm stuck here or whatever, right? Like these are things I don't need to get into all of those details and over tell and overshare my story. All right, so that there's definitely a formula there that we're trying to keep. Now, if you have troubles with this, you can always go to ChatGPT and say, tell me about whatever, but ChatGPT is not going to give you necessarily this right formula. Okay, so we do recommend having it professionally done or doing it yourself using these key elements that we're promoting here for you and doing it that way. Or you can, of course, hire us. We do offer this as a service as well. You answer a handful of questions for us. We write the bio for you. We can have some back and forth, of course, to tailor it and tune it in. But definitely a great way to get this done for you. So if you have any questions on this or are interested in more information on getting your professional bio done for the year coming and your future endeavors, then we are here to help. You can always reach out to us at team@ballenbrands.com.